What's up, you guys? It's Rob here. Today, I'm going to be talking about the SEC SR 2021-801 filing. I'm going to be giving a brief summary of what the SEC SR 2021-801 filing is and how it's really going to affect the stock market moving forward, the U.S. stock market moving forward. This is not going to impact any other country, only the U.S. So just to be clear. But if you can, I did a lot of research into this. Just do me a favor, absolutely obliterate that like button, obliterate the subscribe button, make sure the like button turns blue, that subscribe button turns gray, and then give that bell a nice little hug by turning on their notifications for me. Greatly appreciate it. For a small channel like me, it goes a long ways. I'm on my journey to 1,000 subscribers and hoping to get there quicker than I possibly can. But anyways, so SEC SR 2021-801 filing. So basically the main rule change here is how SLDs are being handled. So to be clear, SLDs are called supplemental liquidity deposits. So basically SLDs are a down payment of sorts. This is important because SLDs are mentioned in the fourth part to a rule that governs the settlements of securities of members in the NSCC. Now, if we think back to when GameStop had their gamma squeeze and Robinhood had just all of a sudden stopped allowing buying of certain securities on their platform, this was based around Robinhood's risk mitigation because they did not have an SLD to give to the DTCC to permit trading on that day. So basically, in short, Robinhood had a liquidity problem, because they didn't expect that a 5 standard deviation event would happen. So this is what happened. They decided, all right, instead of allowing people to buy on our platform, we'll allow them to sell, we'll raise money in the meantime, and then as we raise money, we'll allow people to buy a certain amount of these securities on our platform. And basically, the DTCC stepped in and said, hey, you don't have the liquidity to support this. You cannot allow buying because you do not have essentially the collateral to allow this buying to occur, which is a huge problem because Robinhood should have had this liquidity at the time. This is really what this is all being based around. And the huge thing is, should a member within the NSCC default, it's even more important that the SEC is putting these rules into place. So the NSCC stands for the National Securities Clearing Corporation. They are basically a subsidiary of the Deposit Trust and Clearing Corporation, also known as the DTCC, which is the capital market company essentially responsible for keeping the American market in check due to them being in charge of settling the vast majority of our securities trading. The new rule is the NSCC's way of ensuring that they can complete settlements on behalf of its members should they default on their obligation for a security. Big words, but basically what this is a risk mitigation for the DTCC and the NSCC of saying, hey, you don't have the money to cover for it. We at least have a certain amount of money here to hold because we want to be covered instead of saying, oh, hey, by the way, give us this. And then we have another Archegos situation where they put their hands up and say, we don't have the money kind of thing. So that's what really this is going to be protecting themselves around. So if you can't meet your short position obligation when your contract expires, there are 3 other ways the NSCC can manage the liquidity risk, but the new rule change focuses mainly on the 4th method, which is SLDs. So your supplemental liquidity deposits. It's important to note how these deposits are currently being handled by the NSCC. Usually they are calculated the requirements for SLDs from members no later than 5 days prior to the options expiry activity period, usually on the 3rd Friday of the month, somewhere between the 15th and 21st day, or every Friday nearest to the biggest SLD deadline. So if your SLD deadline is very large on the 1st Friday, you have to meet it on the 1st Friday. If it's very large on the 4th Friday, then you have to meet it on the 4th Friday. So prior to 801, everything was how this was calculated was by reviewing trades over the past 24 months. Then they calculated the 30 or fewer members trades who presented the largest liquidity risk over a time period and made them pay an SLD proportionate to their calculated risk. This is done no later than 2 days prior to the expiring of these options. Provided that everything goes well, the members get their SLD returned no later than 7 business days later. If it doesn't go well, the sum is used to ensure that the member obligation is fulfilled by the NSCC. So basically, that was how things were done. Now, with this going in place, the huge thing that they're doing is they want to calculate the requirement of an SLD for members every day rather than once a month kind of thing or over a period of time. They want to be able to say every single day, this is your risk level, this is your risk level, this is your risk level. And then if your risk level suddenly jumps for some reason, they want an SLD that day for protecting them, which is a good thing to do. So rather than ballpark the sum, they would require an excess of the NSCC's capital based on the 24-month history built around only the option date. They will instead just take the sum of the risk each day, subtract that from the available capital, and what's left over is what the member has to pay as a deposit. So basically, whatever your capital is minus your risk, and then that's your deposit. So that it's rather large because this is basically, it's rather large and it sounds super simple. Am I right? But there's only one kind of large problem with this. So except this could account for billions of dollars not being available for those members who could possibly be millions or billions in the hole on another short position. We can name a few people that this can directly correlate to. So this is a direct response to an acknowledgement that the NSCC members' day trades can cause just as much chaos as their options expiring. So kind of, this is a big deal. The change would put members on a watch list, except this time the NSCC would calculate the members' exposure to the risk of their trades on a daily basis. So instead of looking at this on like a monthly basis, we're looking at this on a daily basis now, which is a really large deal. Because basically hedge funds said, all right, well, the NSCC or the DTCC is going to want an SLD once a month. All right, we need to set this much funds aside, or we need to do something like this. Now they could be doing this every single day. So now, however, the huge rule change with this is the NSCC will be able to send back the SLD the next business day instead of holding it for up to 90 days. So that's new rule change. So just in summary, instead of the SLD being calculated once a month, it's now going to be calculated every single day. And if for some reason you cannot meet your position requirements, that SLD is taken and used to fulfill your obligation as a member of the NSCC. So I know that was a lot. So let me try to just give you an example. So just say, like, for instance, today we see a spike on a stock of $100 while you are short at $18 for 100,000 shares. You will need to cough up the value of an $82 share at 100,000 shares as an insurance payment, essentially. So that's this SLD. And really the huge difference here is this SLD is now being calculated on a daily basis instead of monthly. So keep this in mind. Now, $82 times 100,000, that's a whopping $8.2 million. Guess what? You must make this payment within a 1 hour notice. But don't worry, we'll notify the NSCC or DTCC will notify you 1 hour before the market opens. So 8:30 Eastern Daylight Time. So in addition, if a member decides to retire, this is another thing, the NSCC reserves the right to hold the demanded SLD of that member for 30 days, just to ensure that all their obligations are met. So the changes provided, as long as the changes provided there are no rebuttals, will go in effect within 10 business days. So basically, this is open for public comment. As long as there are no rebuttals, no quarrels or anything like that, this will go in effect once the SEC approves it within 10 business days. So if it's approved today, it'll be set in place on let's just go April 19th. So wouldn't be exactly 10 business days. It wouldn't be exactly 10 business days because wouldn't be exactly 10 days, pardon me, because we're in the middle of the week right now, but that's how it'll be. So basically the takeaway from this whole entire thing is the GameStop Gamma Squeeze has now permanently changed the landscape of the US stock market.